Hello, I'm Emma Howard and I'm joined by Dr. Sue Laurent, who's a consultant paediatrician at Barnet Hospital in Hertfordshire. Hello, Sue.
Hi, Emma.
Got a question here about constipation. So again, a common problem. Lots of people want to know the answer to this. Please can you give me some advice on how to treat constipation in my 3-year-old? She is often in agony and refuses to eat.
Constipation is a really common problem in toddlers particularly, and I think it's to do with, it's very much a Western problem. It's very unusual in Africa or India, and it's so much our problem, and part of it is to do with diet, and part of it is to do with the amount of fluid we give our children. So one of the first things you can do is to really focus on that and make sure you're giving your child plenty of water to drink or fruit juice, and it's better to give those rather than milk in a constipated child, and also really think about getting 5 portions of fruit and vegetable into your child every single day, and that can be quite a struggle. But you've probably, if you're asking this question, you're probably beyond that. You've probably got a child who's not eating anything because they're in such agony and they're screaming and they're looking pale and they've got a big distended abdomen and this is a real problem. And the first thing to do is to say to not be afraid of using laxatives to clear your child out. And I prefer clearing out children from the top end by really pouring in some laxatives from the top end rather than putting up suppositories and enemas.
And that kind of invasive procedure can really make the child...
It often makes them hold back
exactly.
all the more, you can imagine. And very often when a child becomes constipated, when they get the urge to poo, in fact, they don't want to do a poo, so they start to hold back. And you just develop this vicious circle which gets worse and worse and worse. Now, the laxatives out there are many of them, and unfortunately quite a lot of children are given for a long time something called lactulose, which actually is rather ineffective in a child who's really constipated. For a little bit of mild constipation it can be helpful, but a really bunged up child it won't help. And they need something much more powerful, and there are several really good things out on the market. There's something called Movicol, there's something called Senna, and you really need your doctor to advise you on what to give and how much. But be prepared to be in for a long haul if your child is constipated.
That's the problem, isn't it? That when you start medicating your child and you see them poo, you think you've sorted the problem, you stop the medication, and lo and behold, you get a bunged up child.
It's so disappointing. It's so disappointing when they come back to that. And that is because they're so used to holding back, and because their bowel is rather sort of flabby by now, and it's so used to just filling up and not really contracting down properly, that they need to be retrained, both sort of emotionally and also physically, to learn how to poo.
So would you say then that the retraining is something that might take as long as you had the problem? So if they
Absolutely.
were bunged up for a year, you'd need medicine for a year?
You may well, and be prepared. That is normal.
Sue, great advice, thank you. And if you have a similar problem, we hope we might have given you some help. But remember, it's always best to go and see your own doctor for medical advice. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more health questions and answers.